Question number 8, Dr Megan Woods.
Thank you. My question is to the Minister for the Environment. Why did he announce yesterday that he is going to seek the approval of Parliament to refer the Resource Legislation Amendment Bill back to Select Committee, given that so many councils, environmental groups, the Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment and the Law Society have criticised the bill?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Because reform is pivotal to improving New Zealand's environment, to being able to build more houses and supporting economic growth and jobs that members on this side of the House support. Give you a practical example. The bill will enable national regulation so that stock will not be in our rivers and lakes. The bill provides for more houses being built by requiring councils to release land. The bill will prevent billion-dollar stuff-ups like what occurred at Bexley when natural hazards were not properly considered when that subdivision was approved. It's inevitable with a bill of this size that it will require refinement at Select Committee. The committee only received the 500-page report last week, and I'm at loss why members opposite will not let the committee consider that report.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question.
Does he agree with the Department of Conservation, who say the bill will undermine their work and have significant adverse effects on important conservation values, such as impacts on threatened species?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick
No,
Smith.
I don't agree with that view, and if we are serious about improving our planning processes, this reform is required. And what I find so ironic about the Labour Party is they repeatedly accept the RMA as part of the housing problem, and then every time we go to amend it, they oppose it.
Supplementary question, Paul Foster-Bell.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. Supplementary to the Minister, when did his ministry provide departmental reports to the Select Committee, and what are the substantive issues addressed in those reports?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Well, the bill attracted over 800 submissions that were heard through May and June, and on which the Ministry carefully considered in its departmental report. This was provided in 2 volumes, 150 pages in August, and a further 500-page report last week. This timetable is not unreasonable given the size, complexity and number of submissions. It would be impossible for the Select Committee to give proper consideration to those reports when they only had 1 day, and that is why the committee sought a reasonable extension, and that is why this afternoon this government will refer the bill back to the Select Committee to do the job properly.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Eugenie Sage.
Why should New Zealanders believe that this government cares about hearing their views on anything when national members of the Select Committee wouldn't even allow the Select Committee to report back and wouldn't allow the members of the opposition to have their report back?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, the idea that the Select Committee would be able to report back on a bill when it received a 500-page report and only had 1 day's consideration, actually, it's members on this side of the House that is saying the bill should be referred back to the Select Committee so that they can do their job properly. It is our side of the House that's showing proper respect for those submissions.
Supplementary question.
Order. Supplementary question, Dr Megan Woods.
Was the reason the department did not provide the departmental report for 5 months after submissions were heard because they were awaiting his approval, or is the incompetent delay someone else's fault?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
The member is plain wrong. Submissions were finished in June. The first departmental report was provided in August. By my calculation, that is 2 months.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Dr Megan Woods.
Why is he ignoring the submission of councils, developers, the PCE, that further changes to already complex notification rules and adding hundreds of extra clauses to the RMA will further complicate the RMA, the opposite of his stated aims?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable
That just shows the member hasn't bothered to read the departmental report, because one of the most significant areas of changes that is proposed in that departmental report is around the proposals on notification.
Question.
Supplementary question, Dr Megan Woods.
Why doesn't he just admit that the shambolic process and widespread opposition to the bill shows he has got it wrong yet again, another Nick Smith special?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, this government set out on a two-phase reform program for the RMA, and whether it be Transmission Gully in Wellington, the Puhoi-Tuhoi roading project, whether it be Waterview, all of those projects were only able to be approved because of this government's RMA reform bills, and it is rich for members opposite to make the connections.
Order.
Order, Speaker.
Order.
Speaker.
Order. No.
Yeah, point of
Order. A point of order has been called. It needs to be heard in silence.
Speaker, I was listening very acutely to that answer, and in the noise, I thought I heard him talk about the Puhoi-Tuhoi road, and I know he might have lost it.
That's not a point of order. 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 Now, the level of interjection has been relatively loud throughout. I am now going to have to get tougher with one or two if I don't get any cooperation. And I think those members know who I'm talking about.